of Sticking Together with me, your host, Leisha Trimble. Listen, I'm always super excited when I have people that comes on this wonderful podcast and share their life experiences with us. But today is a treat. Okay, I did say it was just for the women because that's what the flyers say. But if you are a man and listening, you will be very happy you tuned in as well. This is going to be one of those episodes where you're going to be looking forward to going out doing the right thing. So I have the pleasure, let me clear my voice, of having such a wonderful, spirited young lady on my podcast, Lady Shironda Jones from All People International Church. So I'm going to read her bio. And then we're going to get into this podcast because this is what I've been waiting for. So let me just break it down to you really quick and read this bio. And then I'm going to bring on Lady Shironda Jones, y'all. So listen, she is a genuine person. She's considerate. She has a heart for people. That's what wholly defines her nature. She's the founder and chief executive officer of Legacy Jones Project. Her passion is to harness a knack for administration with vast expertise to establish a quality and sustainable organizational infrastructure for churches, nonprofits, and other faith-based organizations. She invokes her purpose by leveraging strategy, organizational development, and coaching to accomplish goals beyond expectations. She generously lends creative and innovations to create value and preserve a long-standing legacy. I'm telling you, this is an awesome woman of God. Her faith is unwavering, that with godly principles in tandem and pragmatic strategies, adopting an artistic approach can command the evolution of meeting communities at their need. I promise you, when I read that, I was like, that's power. That's empowerment. She aims to empower clients to confront challenges, address obsolete practices, and embrace the promise of a brighter future through imagination, creativity, and innovation. Encouraging organizations to be their best and offer their best to the people they serve. This is the woman that I would love to get to know. A native of Cleveland, Ohio, Shironda is blissfully married to Pastor Ardell Jones, executive pastor of All People International Church. She holds a bachelor's degree in communication and a master's degree in business administration. She's well educated. She and her husband are proud parents of Jalen, Asia, and Aja. She has served in ministry for over 20 years as minister leader, altar worker, intercessor, administrative assistant, and executive assistant to mega church pastor Dr. R.A. Vernon, founder and senior pastor of the Word Church, Cleveland, Ohio. Given her enthusiasm, experience, and expertise in the area of church administration, Shironda has facilitated training and mentorship for church administrative professionals, which ultimately inspired her to co-author a book, Who's Running Your Church? A handy-dandy guide for church leaders, administrators, and assistants with her mentor and novelist, Jennifer Wayne Wright. Her vision for kingdom includes, listen, an intergenerational, life-changing culture that instills Christian practices and principles that build the kingdom and develop men and women that live a life completely sold out and pleasing to God. Oh my, you know what? I wanted to read that a different way, but that whole bio was so full of wonderful things. I had to make sure I didn't slack her. So if I sound excited when I was reading it, because I was. So listen, let's welcome Lady Shironda Jones to the P.O.S.T. Welcome to the Post. The power sticking together, Mrs. Jones.
Hello, hello, hello. I am super excited to be here and just so honored that you've been requested, that I be on. This is amazing. This is amazing. This is amazing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Look, let me tell you, when I was like, got to bring her on, I think we kind of was talking about it, how the Lord just kept giving confirmation behind confirmation that you
Yes.
needed to come on. And I was like, okay, God, I'm going to do it. Okay, God, when I see you, how we do. We like, God, I'm not ignoring you. I got to
Right.
that door. If you say do something, that door. God, you got that door. And so it was like, I came to Jacksonville because I was visiting my home church. All people, that's my blood church. Just know that. And you were speaking at the She Leads. And while you were speaking, you brought something up and you started talking about the Titus women. And I was like, oh my God, this is what the Lord has been dealing with me about, how I needed to bring Titus women on my platform. And you was talking about your passion and how your heart and, the thing of God and how to be that it was dealing with that Deborah anointing. Okay. So I think that was the book that y'all was reading as well, if I'm not mistaken. So afterwards I was like, hey, say less, God. There go the door. And I promise you, it was like confirmation from my whole spirit, man. Even though I had already spoken with you prior, I needed that confirmation. Right. And when I got there, that was like confirmation to my whole spirit, man. I was like, oh, this is going to be a treat. Yes. So look, we finna get straight into this podcast.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's get into it.
We're talking about the health of how it is important for women to stay balanced, and that balance does with the whole man. And we're talking about that spiritual makeup, that mental state, and also that physical physique that we like to make look good. So
yes,
when we're speaking in reference of this whole, what does that look like for you health wise?
Okay, so let's first define what wholeness really is, and it's a state of being. It's a posture that that you wear, and it's a state of being, posture perfectly, completely, that you're well in your body, mind, and soul. So meaning your soul, your mind, your will, your emotions, and your spirit, which was God's original design for us before the fall of man anyway.
Wait, hold up. So you telling me this is possible? Because I don't think people think it's possible. If it's divinely by God, it's possible. So you telling me it's possible?
Okay. Yes, it is possible. And again, often we ask ourselves that question: is wholeness, is it another whimsical or imaginative, idealistic concept, or is this something that I can actually experience? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's at the core of your spiritual journey. It is a process, it's an experience, and it's a journey. But I think that we have to get to a place where we seek and desire to be whole in those three specific areas. And if you just look at what's going on, in the world today, the climate, of our country, like emotional and mental wellness is at the forefront now. It really is, because we're hearing about our community, our, Black and brown brothers and sisters who have reached a point in their life where they feel like the end is the best thing. I have never seen suicide heightened as it is today.
Wow.
I really
So
haven't,
true.
and it's not just, it's not just women and, and grown men, but it's our children.
Mm.
They figure, okay, I'm just gonna go be with Jesus or whatever. This is the route to take to get out of whatever circumstances that they find themselves in. But there is another way. There is another way. And so I figure if you're intentional, if you make this a priority, ourselves a priority, yes, wholeness is it can be attained. But you have to get to a place where you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, which is how it was for me. I was sick and tired and sick and tired. And so, guess what? I had to do something about it. Yes, God can click his finger at any moment and say, be healed. But out of that, after verbalizing that, there is a corresponding action behind it. We have to do what we need to do in the natural to get to the place of wholeness. And
Oh, okay.
so,
Okay,
yes.
I get it. I get it. That natural
Yes.
thing, that natural thing
It's that
is
natural
something.
thing.
It's something to deal with, because a lot of times we can walk around and we can be like, tomorrow, I'm gonna start doing better, and then
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow get
Mm-hmm.
here, you be like, well, okay, I'm gonna try it again the
Yep.
next day, and
Yes.
so we don't have the evidence, of the change. We have
Yes.
the mental capacity that we may want to change. And we so often
Mm-hmm.
think about the part where Jesus brought his disciples and he was like, hey, you go, make sure y'all pray. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
go up to this little area, but y'all better be praying. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure
Mm-hmm.
they probably wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he came back, what were they
Yeah.
doing? Sleep. And so
Yeah.
sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
we allow ourselves to sleep spiritually. We
Yes.
want to do these things, but we're not awakening the natural man to do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I totally get what you mean by that natural
Mm-hmm.
part. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
as a woman, and you can chime in anytime. Trust me. That's
Okay.
what we do
Yes.
on this
Yes.
podcast. You could be
Yes.
like, hold up, let me tell you something. It was
Yes.
so funny. I
Yes.
had a
But
guest on here the
yes.
other day.
Yes.
No, it was not the other day. It was like a couple of months ago. And I kind of said, back up, back up. Let me talk. She said, wait a minute, you ain't let me finish.
Oh
Thought
my
that was
God.
so hilarious.
Yes.
But that's how we
Yes.
do it. So
Yes. Yes.
listen,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
um, women, we talking about us women,
Yes.
okay? So I know for me, um, I like to look nice outwardly.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Mm-hmm.
to dress
Mm-hmm.
up. I like to
Mm-hmm.
smell good from my head to my toes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that outwardly appearance of making
Yes.
sure that I just look nice, whether it's I'm wearing
Mm-hmm.
jeans and t-shirt, whatever I have on,
Mm-hmm.
I like looking nice.
Yes.
However, as women, do you feel we focus too much outwardly when we talk about wholeness
Yes.
than inwardly when it comes to being healthy?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I do. And absolutely. So our outer selves basically is what we present to the world, right? And then we curate it to reflect its best. Like you said, you get up, get dressed, put on your makeup, do your hair, you want to, put on your perfume or whatever. And that's all well and good. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
But how are you internally?
Mm.
Because that looks good to the outward, to the outward man or to the world or whatever. That looks really good, but how's your soul really?
Mm.
Because that stuff honestly don't matter. And in a world where social media is heightened and I mean, it definitely increases the notion of comparison, and then you start downplaying who you are at the core, your gifts, your talents, your abilities, those really essential things that God placed inside of you. You begin to play those things. I mean, how's your soul? How's
Mm.
your soul really? We invest so much money, and this is the God truth, and the latest designer clothes, shoes, bags, cosmetics. Now it's surgical procedures. We getting BBLs, we getting bust augmentations. Gastric bypass is very popular now for those that just have no desire to just really just work out. naturally. But they're suffering in silence. So you've done all these things, but you're still haunted by your past, by your trauma, by injuries sustained from relationships. So, you got depression issues, you got rejection issues, you got abandonment issues, mother, father wounds, whatever. You're still dealing with those things. So no matter how you dress yourself up, no matter how you look in your Louis, your Gucci, your Hermes, whatever, you're still suffering from those issues that you failed to address.
When you're talking, you know what I'm hearing?
Mm-hmm.
Won't he make you clean inside?
Yes.
From the inside out. You
Yes,
hear
he
me?
will. Yes, he will.
I am hearing, that what we clean up on the outside,
Mm-hmm.
God can do the same thing that you trying to make look outwardly on the
Yes.
inside.
Yes.
Because God can make you clean
Yes, he can.
inside
Yes,
so
he can.
that your outwardly appearance can match what you
Mm-hmm.
feel on the inside.
Yes, that's it.
Oh Lord,
That's
you hear
it,
me?
sis. That's it. But what we do is versus doing the work on the inside, we wear this mask. We walk around with this mask.
Say so.
We walk
Yeah.
around with a mask, and then we get into relationships, and guess what? We
All
get in
broken.
relationships, and that brokenness, that hurt, that pain, it's gonna come out. It's gonna come out of you, whether it's an argument, whether there's a trigger of some sort. That trauma and pain is going to come out, and then the person that you're in relationship with ends up paying for it
Because
because
it was already in you.
because it was already there. So again, and I'm just this is me because I was that person. Yes, I was that person. I had daddy issues. I had mother issues. When my mother, didn't do this and she didn't do that. Oh, my father, he was in the house, but he wasn't in the house. If that
I
makes
got
sense,
you. I got
because
you.
you
That
could
makes
be
perfect
you
sense.
could be in the house but not really present, or
Yeah.
whatever. And so because I didn't know how to deal with those things. I didn't know how to deal with those things. And then one day, my mentor, she's come to speak at All People. Actually, she spoke at the Isha Conference 2021.
Gotcha.
Dr. Shardeen Simpson. She has played an intricate role in my healing. I'll never
Wow.
forget when I was in Cleveland. Our pastor had went on vacation, and she did a series called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality. And this is actually a series that I would like to do as a small group to help women unpack their issues and start the process. So this kind of starts the process for me. It's called Emotionally Healthy Spirituality, and it's a book by Peter Scazzaro.
Right.
And what he said was like, it was groundbreaking for me. So he says, how can we be spiritually mature while remaining emotionally immature?
Okay.
And that kind of hit me because it's like we're going to church, we're praising God, we're worshiping, we're hearing the word, but we're really not applying what this word, the word that was given to us, we're really not applying it to our lives like we should. So basically, it's turned into this temporary fix or this temporary high while I'm in worship. Because as soon as I leave church, the enemy is waiting and ready, but he snatches that word that was given from me, and then I go back to what's comfortable.
That's
I go
true.
back to what's so basically, it's emotional health and spiritual maturity are inseparable.
Exactly.
It goes hand in hand together. And so this was my path to emotion. When I tell you every week, this was a 5-week series. Every week I was walking up in there and just purging and just crying like, God, I got to do something about this. I cannot continue to live my life in pain, traumatized by things that have happened. I cannot continue to live this way. So that's when the work started. I was very intentional about dealing, and see what it is sometimes you have to go back to go forward.
Mm.
Those things that we've placed back in the small, parts of our brain that we think, oh, it's
Right,
just
right,
gonna go
right.
away. No, you
We got to
have to
deal with our
deal, you
past.
have
That's what
to
it's called.
deal with that. You have to
Yeah,
deal
you
with
got to
the
deal with
abuse.
it.
You have to deal with the emotional trauma. You have to deal with that stuff. And
Mm,
so at that point, the journey began. Now, is this journey a straight line? No, it's not. It's ups,
exactly.
it's downs, it's ins and outs, it's detours. It's detours and going this way, you going one way, then you going another way. It's a combination of all those things, but you have to trust the process. And it's so interesting because I was at an event last night, and the young man that was on the platform, he said the issue is that God doesn't reveal to you the process.
That's true.
He doesn't reveal before you
Hmm.
get to the promise. He does not reveal to you what this process is going to take
Hmm.
to get to where you need to be.
That's true.
And so I think if we just trust where he's leading us, where he's taking us, just trust. And I know that's hard in the natural, but we have to get to a place of trusting that trouble ain't gonna last always. And just like in Psalms, it says in the 23rd Psalm, it says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the
Right.
shadow of death. It says walking through it, which means you're
Exactly.
going to go through it, but you're going to come on the other side of it. You are. At some point, you have to trust. And so I would have never thought that trusting the process, going through what I needed to go through, would lead me to destiny, that would lead me to my husband. Had no idea. Everything that I had spoken out of my mouth, everything that I wanted, I'm living in it right now.
Wow.
Living in it
Wow.
right
Wow.
now.
And that's a beautiful thing because like there were certain points that I was while you was talking, I was hearing God speak, and one of those things were when God heals you. Well, let's look at it this way: when there's something inside of you that you have to really deal with, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
God has sometimes those things have to be cut out of you. And if
Mm-hmm.
you are
Mm-hmm.
in a state where the Lord literally has to come and surgically remove what you are going through,
Mm-hmm.
you'll feel the scar, you'll know that you went through the process, but the illness that it brought your life, you would no longer have to suffer from it anymore.
Yes.
But what God was showing me was somebody needs to go through that surgical process. But here's the thing, you can't stay awake for it. When you are laying
Mm.
on that table and you have something, I remember I had to go through this extensive surgery and they had to put me asleep. So I was like, I
Mhm,
don't care
mhm.
what they give me, I'm going to stay up. Like I'm gonna beat the drugs. But look,
Yes.
my mindset was like, I'm gonna stay up. And God is saying the same thing. You like, God, I need help. I need help. And you need to get this thing out of you. And so God says it's time for you to go through the surgical process. And you
Mhm,
trying to stay up, and God gonna say count backwards because they had me counting backwards. I look. I don't know if I made it from 100 to 99. I can't remember what number I was out, but I was out cold. You hear me? Because you got to go
mhm.
back. God got to remove that. And what I love about it was I didn't feel a thing,
Nothing.
nothing when they was
Nothing.
in me doing what they had to do.
Mhm,
But I did know something happened when I woke up. You
mhm,
understand what I'm saying?
mhm. Yep.
Well, and this is
Yep.
what I was getting when you were talking. I was like,
Mhm,
oh my God. I literally was seeing you speaking into the lives of not just women, but into men, because
yes.
that's your whole purpose. You said to develop
Mhm.
men and women that
Yes.
live a life completely sold out
Completely
and
sold out.
pleasing to God. So
Yes. Yes. In
I,
order and in order to live a completely sold out life, we have to do the work, and we have to come into partnership with God. That's the key part. We have to come into partnership with him in the process.
Mm,
He didn't say that. Look, he didn't say that we wouldn't experience some trouble.
right.
He didn't say that we wouldn't experience some uncomfortable, experiences or whatever. But it says, count it all joy when you experience various trials, because the testing of our faith is what produces endurance. It's what makes us. It's what makes us resilient. It's the testing of our faith. And in those
Mm,
moments when we're being tested, we just have to trust. We have to trust the will and the plan of God. I promise you. It's easier said than done. It really is. It's so much easier said and done.
but you live in it.
But
You
but
live in
I'm
it.
living it. I
And that's the part.
refuse. I
Yeah.
refuse to get off this path. I just refuse to do it. I refuse. I need God in my life so much. I just feel like I would be nothing without him. I thank God for accepting him into my life when I did. And I've been in church all my life. I grew
Mm-hmm.
up Baptist, but it wasn't until um, I was about 26. My son is he's 22 now. So he was 1 year old when I finally got to that place where I was like, God, I fully surrender. I fully acquiesce to what it is that you are asking me to do and you need for me to do. And when I said yes, when you say yes, that's when stuff really start going haywire. It really does. Because the
It
enemy is
got
mad
to.
at you. The enemy is mad. He like, what? Oh, now you on this bandwagon? Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
ever since I was 26 years old, I have been um, sold out. I've made mistakes because, human, the flesh still gets in the way. That's why we need to pray and ask God to help us die to our flesh every day.
True.
But I refuse to get off the path. It's like I fall and I get back up. I dust my knees off. I get back on track. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how many times you fall or you fail. God is always there to pick you up. He's always there to pick you up and help you get to the place that he needs you to go. It's always. He's always.
Yes, he is. And that gets down to, cause you are living it and you experiencing the change. Oh yes, I do see those little posts you put when you out there working now. You trying to get my brother. I'm praying for him. We're not gonna let him be the topic of this discussion.
Listen, sis. I will
Because
tell you.
I love him dearly. So
Listen.
listen, I get it. Trust me. I see the journey. I see where you're going, and being someone that has been walking that path as well.
Yes.
It does get better. I promise you that. It does get better. Just the years of marriage and working together. And, my husband often, what you trying to feed your husband, my husband used to call it bird food. But I'm like, look, this bird food gonna save your life. You better eat this bird food. Quit playing.
Lord Jesus.
Respectfully. But, so I see that. And it
Yes.
developed such a strong passion in you, a journey that you are already on. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted you to explain. You kind of touched on it, and I was
Yes.
like, "Oh my gosh!" You was talking about how you wanted to do this small session to kind of go more in depth about this whole healthy journey of wellness, the whole
Mm-hmm.
man wellness.
Yes.
And so, can you explain your passion and why are you convicted about this topic?
Again, and we kind of touched a little bit on that, doing just our conversation in general. It's at the end of the day, I want to be the best version of myself. I want to be who God created me to be. And that is a combination of the body, the soul, and the spirit. That's who I am. That makes up, those three elements makes up my entire being. Now let's back up a little bit when we was talking about the body, because listen, I will tell you that's probably the most challenging part of this journey, only because I'm up in age. My metabolism is not as high as it once was, but I'm not gonna give up. And it's crazy because one of my good friends, she shared this with me some time ago, and it goes back to 1 Corinthians 6:19, where it says, "Don't you realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who lives in you and was given to you by God?" So what
Mm,
that suggests is you don't even belong to yourself. You belong to him. So
right.
we're no more than just a manager of the temple that God has given us. And it's imperative that we become better stewards of the body that he has given us to manage.
Mm,
And the reality is this physical body is not meant to last. It really isn't. God gives us physical bodies to function here on earth and carry out his will and his purpose for our lives. So if we think about it like this, how effective really is the Holy Spirit within us if it's all jacked up on the inside?
wow.
We can't even do what we've been called to do because we're lackadaisical. We don't have the energy. Our joints are hurting or whatever. We barely can walk. We barely can do this. We barely can do that. So
Mm,
I think if we take that approach, if we shift our mindset a little bit to think of it like, how is the Holy Spirit really operative within us if we have all these medical issues and things of that nature? So because of that, it really challenges me to try to do better. It's hard, sis. I ain't gonna even tell you it ain't hard. It's not easy. And that's one of the reasons why I've invested in that area of my life, is because I want to be at my very best. I want to be able to fully function the way God wants me to function in a much healthier state. It's like lives are at stake. We got lives to change. We got
right.
people that we need to pour into. We have people that we need to shepherd and steward and stuff like that. So it's imperative that I work on that part of my body. And like I told you, it's hard. And like proper nutrition and exercise and managing stress and getting proper rest, those are part of the physical health and wellness component, making sure that I'm consulting with my physician about my health status and any potential risks that are associated with that, and then letting them kind of customize a wellness plan for me. You know, heart disease and diabetes and stuff runs into my family. And
Right.
I'm not about to let this catch me by the heels. So every day I strive to do a little bit better, making sure I'm getting my water and minding my business. That's a part of
Wow.
the process.
Wow. I love that because minding her business is becoming whole.
Yes,
It's
it is.
healthiness. That's
Yes,
what
drink
minding
your
your business
water and
supposed to
mind your
be
business.
about. Being healthy. If you're
Yes,
healthy, then you can be beneficial to someone else.
yes,
You kind of pretty much broke down your passion. You know how when you was in school, they was like descriptive. Give me something descriptive. And you was like, listen, I don't know nothing else to say in this paragraph you keep asking me to
yes,
write. But you
yes.
really broke it down. They give us a true understanding how your life
Mm-hmm.
impacted your passion. Not
Yes.
only and what I love about it, you're on a journey that you're being held accountable for,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
you're being held accountable for the things that you want to do for the Lord. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times, and it's good to have someone to make you accountable. So
Mm-hmm.
let me
Mm-hmm.
make sure I get that in the airwaves.
Yes.
The truth of the matter, you're not going to always have someone there to hold you accountable.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so you have to learn accountability is
Yes.
your responsibility. Oh my God.
Yes. Yep.
Now that right there,
Mm-hmm.
accountability is your
Yes,
responsibility.
it is.
It is
Yep.
not the
Yep.
person that sis, you going to walk in today? No. Because at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
if you want to tell them, no, you're not doing it, you
Yes.
ain't going to do it.
Yes. Yep.
So,
But you know what? You know what? One thing that I do, because I mean, again, accountability, being accountable, because there are days when I'd be like, yep, I'm not going today. I'm not. But it's like, how bad do you want what you're trying to to do,
That
or
part.
what you're trying to get to, how bad. So guess
Mm-hmm.
what? That requires getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes,
That
ma'am.
requires maybe you shooting your coach a text saying, "Hey, this is what I ate. I ate today." Or,
Right.
"Sis, I just didn't have it today." And them, kind of pouring into you from that perspective. So I would say the positive reinforcement, the affirmations, the empowerment that you receive from others definitely helps you
It
with that
really does.
accountability too. Because
Mhm.
listen, I'm not a morning person at all. My husband will tell you, yeah, I would much rather sleep in to 10, 11 o'clock or whatever than to get up going to somebody's gym. So just here recently, I was going to the gym at 5:30 in the afternoon.
Mhm.
And then something just spoke to me and said, "No, you need to start getting up. You need to get used to getting up. This is uncomfortable for you." So guess what? Nothing grows or evolves or develops in comfort zone. It does not. You have to sometimes get uncomfortable to get to where God is trying to take you. So I shifted my whole workout routine, and now I go at 5:30 in the morning.
I'm
Listen,
sorry, I'm cutting
I
her off,
go
but y'all just don't see, y'all don't
listen.
hear the change. I hear what she's
Listen,
saying.
listen. I go
Mm.
at 5:30 in the morning, which requires me to get up at 4:45 on those days that I have to go.
Did you not hear what she just said? She said that she was comfortable going in the afternoon,
Mm-hmm.
and her God pretty much shifted that, took her out of that comfort, because the change in her had to begin in her anyway. And then she said she started getting up early in the morning, which is uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
Listen, we are in a place that if we want this change, it's going to be
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
It's nothing going to be
Completely
comfortable
uncomfortable.
about this change. I understand completely what you're saying, because recently, a couple of, I want to say the summer. Okay, so this summer started a little bit before school got out, because, with me teaching, I have to get up anyway. But it got a little bit more intense during the summer, on following just what God telling me to do. And he was like, "You need to get up 4 o'clock," because I really was gonna sleep in for the summer.
Lord Jesus.
So that's what intense was for me, because I'm like, I get up every day early.
Yes. Yes.
So I was like, I'm gonna be
Yes.
able to sleep in this summer. So Lord was like, I need you up 4 o'clock. And I was like, it was 4:30. I'm sorry, 4:30. I need you to get up 4:30. And I was like, oh Lord, okay. And when I tell you, that has been one of the most trying things for me, to just wake up 4:30 Monday through Thursday. That's all he
Mm-hmm.
gave me. He
Mm-hmm.
said, I give
Mm-hmm.
you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but I
Mm-hmm.
need Monday through
Mm-hmm.
Thursday. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to tell
Mm-hmm.
you what to do, how to do it, and all the things that you need to do. He was like, you need to get up. I have information that I need to give to you, details that we need to go through.
Mm-hmm.
And who would ever thought the willingness of my heart, spirit, and my flesh, by me
Mm-hmm.
being obedient, the
Mm-hmm.
revelations that God would give to you, the
Mm-hmm.
understanding, doing the most uncomfortable changes of you doing something, but with the willingness of your heart, God will begin to speak
Yes.
stuff that you didn't even know,
Mm-hmm.
and reveal things that you thought you understood and you didn't even understand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So for you to be in this state in your life, that is like a very, very, how they say, when someone's going through something, that's a very like sacred moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like you protect that, because it's so sacred
Mm-hmm.
for you to be on this journey.
Mm-hmm.
um it's just that point where it's just me and God. I appreciate everyone else, but this is something that God is doing on the inside of me, and I know it's working, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
So you know, you have experienced a big change in your life, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sure it impacted your life some kind of way, shape,
Yeah.
form, or fashion.
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about how you dealt with that change
Mm-hmm.
prior. You talked about the counseling. You talked
Mm-hmm.
about the mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about how you needed to do better, and
Mm-hmm.
you kind of gave us an inkling into what it takes to get sick or tired and sick or tired of
Yes.
being sick and tired. You talked about, I think you said you was 26, I believe,
Yes.
and your son was 1. Now, if you're doing a podcast and people ain't listening to you, child, they just want you on their platform. I'm listening.
Listen, at the very end of the day, I just want to be an example.
That
I
part.
want to be an example of someone that has allowed God to grab hold of her life completely
Wow.
and to change. I've always felt like I was different. I mean, I've had family members say to me that, oh, she thinks she's better, or, you know, or you're this and that, you're bougie, you're stuck up, and, you know, those things. And it's like, no, exposure, it means everything. It means a lot. Exposure is a lot. And sometimes people will let the things that they've gone through, it's two things. You can use it as fuel or you can use it as an excuse. And again, I didn't live a perfect life. I wasn't in church all the time. I wasn't. But I allowed the things that I did see from a negative perspective shape where I am now and to shift me into the realm and dimension that I've been exposed to in this season. I allowed those things. And so I think it was the exposure that really impacted my health, how I deal with change. I think, and this is something that you had asked me. You said, you know, basically, was there a big change in my life that kind of impacted us? And yes, and I would say the greatest change, to be quite honest with you, was my transition from Cleveland to Jacksonville.
Wow.
My transition here, meaning because Jacksonville, I never really been here before. I told, and you've heard my story. I told God palm trees, sunshine, and warm weather. And so I'm thinking Orlando, you know, somewhere, because Orlando was truthfully the only city that I ever experienced in the great city of Florida. But I just knew how it made me feel every time I would visit for vacation. It's like, man, I don't never want to leave this. Look, it's so beautiful here. Look at the people; they're all happy and everything. And again, you have to be careful what you ask God for, because at the end of the day, it's not your will, it's his will that's
Mm.
going to be done. So what he do? He sent me to Jacksonville. He instead of giving me palm trees, sunshine, and warm weather, he gave me a pastor. And I'm like, well, that wasn't on the list. But again, his will, not my will.
But you
So
got
it
a
was just
pastor that lives in
yes.
Orlando, because let me tell you, anytime you want to go, my brother's going to bring you to Orlando.
Of course, of course. We just
So
left there a couple weeks
you
ago.
got a double blessing. You hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. But my transition from Cleveland to Jacksonville was a very uncomfortable one because I didn't know anybody
You're
aside
right.
from my husband and the family. I'm at a new church. I have
Right.
no friends. When I initially
Right.
got here, I wasn't working. So everything that I was able to accomplish in Cleveland, I literally had to start from the bottom up. Signs
Mm.
look different, streets look different. Um, I began to, you know, retreat and shut down because I mean, I almost fell into a depression, to be quite honest with you. But I never forget, you know, the scripture said, he that has began a good work in you shall finish it. And at that point, God was beginning a new work in me that I didn't even realize he was
Wow.
doing. I really didn't. But again, it goes back to trusting the process. I said I wanted this, right? but God never revealed the process to me. He never revealed what I was going to have to go through, what I was going to have to endure to get to the season that I am in right now. He never revealed that to me.
So he kept all that from you.
Yes, he never revealed the hard places. He never revealed to me the uncomfortable seasons that I was going to have to go through. He never revealed that. All he said, "Oh, you want palm trees, sunshine, warm weather? Okay, I'm gonna give it to you."
So
But
that
nothing.
impacted your whole life, number
Yes,
one.
yes,
And
yes,
it was beginning to mess with your mental health, number two.
yes, yes, yes,
And your
yes,
spiritual man at that time felt like, okay, it's been neglected because you're trying to figure out this whole thing.
yes.
So the state that you were in was
Hmm.
so imperative that if God would have showed you again,
I would have never took that leap
you
of
would have
faith
never took it. You
at
wouldn't have,
all.
which would have made you miss where you are
Hmm.
today.
Yes. Yep.
And so the
Yep.
journey that you are on, it is
Hmm.
changing not just your life now, it's changing
Yes.
others. Is very
Yes.
impactful. And
Yes.
just the simple fact that you have this consistency of
Hmm.
having been whole, a
Hmm.
health. Let me tell you, Lady Shironda, I don't care how challenging the body, the physical body seems
Hmm.
to be with you, when you're trying to do your exercises, do your weight or whatever, just
Hmm.
the simple fact that you are doing it, the
Hmm.
results are going to come.
Yes.
Just the simple fact that you keep making your mind, I'm going to do this, because I learned a long time ago, and I'm sure that you can agree with this. I started this health journey early in my 20s. You're like, I'm we 40s now, right? So
Hmm.
I started
Hmm.
early in my 20s. Like when I say health journey, I mean that whole man journey.
Hmm.
But it's not really, I'm not really fully in understanding the whole impact of why I started, and I'm 40. All I know
Mm.
is when I started, God said to me, this is not something you just doing. This is a way of life.
Hmm. Hmm.
So this is something that we're going to be on for the rest of our life.
Yes. Yeah.
We're not going to have that well-defined physique that we want. We're going to still look what we look like in our 20s. Some of us still look like in our 40s, right?
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
So what we look like in our 40s, and when we hit them 50s and 60s, we going to probably look like that in our 70s.
Listen,
You know?
I want to look like Angela Bassett. Okay, I want to look like her and Vanessa Bell Calloway, because baby, they 60
They
and
don't
they
act like
look
they age
absolutely
ever, ever,
amazing.
ever.
Ever, ever, ever. But again, it goes back to taking care of the physical body.
Yep.
I mean, Angela Bassett, her diet is very balanced, and I think I saw something on YouTube where she was sharing kind of the things that she eats. She works out consistently. You have
Mm-hmm.
to guard your spirit. That's ooh, that alone is important.
Yeah.
Is guarding your spirit. So even with me, I'm very, very, I set realistic boundaries. I'm very intentional about protecting my space and my energy. My relationships have shifted. Thank you, Dr. Darius Daniels, for writing Relational Intelligence. My relationships have shifted. And again, that's a part of your spiritual, that's all a part of the wholeness. Sometimes we
Mm.
have to assess our relationships. We have to redefine our relationships. We got to, have greater discernment and align them better. We have to do all of those things. And again, relationships are everything. And
Yes,
that's
yes,
not just
yes.
from a professional perspective, but from a personal one too. So, I think a lot of times we exaggerate people in our lives that were pocketed in the wrong category. I
Mm.
didn't even realize that. I read, I'm an avid reader. I'm always reading something that's going to take me to the next level. And that
Right.
was one of the things that he said. He said we exaggerate people, and so whereas they was a friend, they should have been an assignment, or whether there was an
Wow.
assignment, they should have been an associate or an advisor. So sometimes, protecting your spirit man means going back and reevaluating certain relationships that you have. I mean, I still have my friends from back home and everything, but my circle has really gotten a lot smaller. At least in
Mm.
this season, it has gotten a lot smaller. But again, it goes back to protecting your spiritual space. I can't be friends with messy people. I can't
Mm-mm-mm.
associate. I would love you where you are. I would always show kindness and respect to you, but I can't be attached to mess. Not in this season. Not in this
Oh
season. Not
boy, boy,
not in
boy.
this
You
season.
speaking my
I just
type of
cannot.
language.
I can't be. And then
My
this
type of
one last
language.
thing, we could talk forever, but
Yes, yes, yes.
this one last thing that became very apparent to me, and I didn't realize it until actually, let me say, I'm almost 4 years into my marriage, but it's this idea of the soft life. So this little hashtag is like floating around on social media, soft life, and it's this idea of strong Black women becoming a little bit softer, that they're letting go of these astronomical expectations that they have to do it all.
Mm-hmm.
That was like who I was when I first came here. Like I had been, taking care of me, taking care of my son. And so when I got married, I really didn't understand that I no longer had to live this hard life. I no longer had to do every single thing. That it was okay to allow my husband to lead and to take some of the pressure
Oh yes,
off
ma'am.
of me. But yeah, it's like, I no longer had to make decisions that left me feeling stressed out,
Yes, ma'am. And
So now
if you like me, Lady Shironda, I be like, oh, this too much, honey.
yes,
And it's
yes,
not that I can't
yes,
handle it now. Don't get me wrong. I know I
yes,
tell him all the time.
yes,
I say when I met you, I was independent.
yes,
I know how to handle my own. But I
exactly.
ain't gotta deal with this, honey. Please.
No,
You look,
no,
no, I can't deal with
no.
it right now. I need to
No.
stay
So
balanced for you,
listen,
baby.
yes. So now I embrace a soft life. I'm more in tune into my self care. Not to
Hmm.
say that I'm becoming selfish. No, that's not the case. It's
No.
it's just me too. I have to take care of me. I can no longer pour from an empty cup. I have to fill myself up with things that way I can really show up as my true authentic self. I mean, small things such as getting up in the morning, my prayer, my meditation time. I know you've probably seen me post about Verses in Flow, which is my mentor's new podcast where we're reading the Bible in a year. Well, she's reading it to us, but we're experiencing reading the Bible in a year. And that's when I get the affirmation. So it's like
Right.
I'm pouring into myself so I can really show up as the best version of who God created me to be, which is ultimately the
But you
goal.
know what that's ultimately doing in your life? It's called finding yourself.
Yes.
And when you end up finding who you are, you can help
Hmm.
others. You
Yes.
know, and I like you say, y'all listen. We don't talk a lot, but when me and Lady Sharona get on this phone, let me tell y'all, we have us a good time just talking about
Yes, we
life. And
do.
but there was something the Lord showed me and shared with me um during this time of we always have seasons and times in our lives where God will grow us, growth. So
Hmm.
I'm in a season of growth, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
And a lot of times we have this thing that we say, I got seed in the ground,
Hmm. Hmm.
and I'm gonna get the abundance harvest or whatever. And
Yes.
God was he I have a tree, and then I'm gonna let you close out. I have a
Yes.
tree in the back of my house that when I first moved in, that joker was just standing there. All the other trees had greenery on it, and you standing there with sticks. So I went back there and I spoke to her. I said, let me tell you something. We moving in this house, and anything that we live in, it has to grow. Had no idea that later God was going to use this season about this tree and me growing.
Hmm.
Okay. So I spoke and I said, listen, tree, you got one or two choices. You're going to either shrivel up and die or you're going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to leave the choice up to you. Now, if you want to stay in this family with this blessed family, because we don't do nothing but growth in this house, you need to grow. If not, we're going to cut you down.
Mm-hmm.
So within like a couple of weeks or so, there was like in the dirt, down in the grass, a little bush, like a little stem sprouting up.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was like a weed or something like that. And the lawman would always come and leave that little thing and it would just grow bigger and bigger. Okay. The tree that was dead, I cut that down. Woo!
Mm.
But the little stem that came from the root of that tree that grew is now a tree. Still
Wow.
the same tree, but brand new.
Brand new.
A whole new root from that tree grew into a whole new tree. Still the same tree. But
Yes.
what God was showing me during the season of growth, now I spoke to that tree, but not one time I've been back there to tend to that tree. We
Mm-hmm.
talking about seed now, not just
Mm-hmm.
hear me out. We talking about seed.
Yes.
And God was saying to me, how many times have you sown seed and you so busy for growth, but you don't never tend to the seed?
Mm. Mm-mm-mm.
And then he started breaking it down to me because, I don't know nothing about gardening, nothing about flowering, nothing about any of
Me
that
either,
stuff.
sis. Me
I'm not
either.
outside. I'm not an
Yes.
outside girl. Don't make me go outside because I'm not. If it ain't no pool and no shade that I can stand
Yes.
under, I'm not coming outside. So, but God was showing me how a farmer, when he plants a seed, he just don't drop a seed in the ground and just leave it there.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't.
We always say God sends one to plant, another to
Another
water,
water.
and he gives the increase.
Yes.
Whoever plants that seed got to maintain the maintenance to it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so God was saying, what type of fertilization are you putting for that seed to grow?
Mm. Mm.
Mm. You up here,
Mm.
I got a seed in the ground. When the last time you
Yes.
fertilize that seed so
Yep.
that it can grow and be
Absolutely.
watered properly? And he
Yep.
was dealing with me because I said there, I said, you know what, Lord, that little tree, it's back there. I did tell it that it had to grow. He said, now it's your responsibility to make sure it stays healthy.
Yes.
So God was showing me how I am now in this season of maintaining growth. The
Mm-hmm.
process of this growth has to
Mm-hmm.
be, when was the last time I'm taking care of what he's allowing to grow into me? And it's back to this same thing that you was talking about, this health, this intentional, this growth
Yes.
that you're experiencing,
Yeah.
how you're fertilizing it. What are
Mm-hmm.
you doing intentionally to make sure that it grows properly? One of my trees say, you only prune me once a year. Don't cut me more than once a year.
Mm.
So it's like things I'm learning about what I need to do. And God was like, listen, not everybody's going to understand your
Mm-mm.
growth process
Mm-mm. At all.
at all. He had to let me know, okay, so think about it. You remember Noah, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't
Mm-hmm.
stop to explain everybody why he's building that ship. So
Mm.
on your journey, you don't have to stop and explain why you're so intense about being well and
Yes.
whole and
Yes.
healthy.
Yes.
That at the end of the day, that ship was built and it happened.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
rain came down and then
Mm-hmm.
it's too late. That's why he
Mm-hmm.
built that ship. At the
Mm-hmm.
end of the day, you're going to be showing your healthiness.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be too late. So, ladies, gentlemen, don't let it be too late. If this podcast is blessing you, it's because God is saying to you, it is time for you to be whole. Remember, we said that at the beginning. We said, I think we was like, so you was talking about it was in God's, God word or however you
Oh, I
put
said
it.
it was God's original design for us to be in a space of whole before the fall of man. Yes.
Exactly. So I asked you, I
Yes.
said, oh, so can it actually exist? And you was like, yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
Yes.
So
Yes. But
this is
you
something
have
that
to
can
want it.
happen. So,
Yep, you have to want it.
but yeah, so we gotta go. I know. We have been on here long. Look, we will do this again another day, another time. And we're not spending your money. We just giving you freedom to express yourself and let you understand that you can. We're not asking you to send us donations, money to get something. We actually gave you some seed, or you may have been planting seed. And we giving you a word that is fertilizing what you've been saying you're going to do anyway. So listen, go ahead and do that. But I can't, I got to cut it short. I'm going to leave just a little space for Lady Shironda to speak her last remarks or comments or concerns, prayers, or whatever she would like to say to us at the end. And thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for coming on the P.O.S.T. And trust me, it is always power when we stick together. All right, Lady Shironda, just tell me what else that you want to say or do, or go ahead.
Listen. This has been an amazing time of fellowship, with you and with our listeners. And I just want everybody to remember 3 John 1 and 2. And it says, "It is my prayer that you may prosper and be in good health, just as your soul prospers." So I know that we underscored, the body, the mind, the spirit, but the most important element of becoming whole and just your entire wholeness journey is that your soul prospers. I know we put so much emphasis on Gucci, Louis, whatever your faces be, your lashes and brows are popping, but how's your soul? I know your weave is laid and it's all pretty, and we fix up the outside, but internally, how is your soul? When we begin to look at the prospering of our soul, when we just focus in on that, everything else is easy. Everything else is easy. So again, this is a never-ending, lifelong journey, and I just encourage everyone to get on this train with me and start focusing in on the core of who you are and who God desires you to be. We want to be the best version of ourselves. And again, this is a never-ending, incessant journey of becoming. But we need to focus. If we start with the be, the coming will come. So that's my short, succinct encouragement to everyone. I love you all. So grateful that you stopped by to listen and to journey with us this morning. And I'm looking forward to doing it again in the near future.
Well, you heard it from her. She's coming back. And listen, now that's power. Anytime that you can stick together with purpose is power in that. So tune in next week for another encouraging episode, as I often say, that will make you check yourself before you wreck yourself. We're out. Bye.